My name is Brian Birney. I am the president and CMO, which is Chief Marketing Officer of the Birney Directive. Just a real quick about some of our background. What we are is we're a local marketing agency located in Lake Orion. We have an extensive background in marketing for over, I would say, 20 years. From any one of these credentials that you see on the screen right now. Just real quick, as the marketing director at the Detroit Media Partnership, which is the news and free press. As the race director for the Detroit Free Press Marathon for 2 years, marketing director at Crittenton Hospital, also a proud Marine Corps veteran, and now business owner, two of them, the Birney Directive and Lake Orion's American Summer, and I'm also a trustee for Orion Township. And then our team consists of several other people with backgrounds in sales and marketing, graphic design, social media, web design, email marketing, pretty much anything a business or organization needs to promote themselves. That is what we do. So with that, this is, I think, the third time that I've given a lunch and learn to the Oxford Chamber. This time is a little different, though, just like everything that's happening this year. So we wanted to talk about how to effectively market during COVID, which is a difficult task. We've all been dealing with this since March. Some of us are still hurting. Some of us have figured out some other ways. But the reality is we still need to continue to get creative with how we do business with people. As much as we all want this to go away, the impact isn't for some time. So there's some of us still under some, orders that can't let you, go to 100%, or just because, people are not out and about as much as they would, businesses are hurting. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So the first part of my presentation is to go over some case studies that have happened with the numerous recessions we've had, over the years here in the U.S. But keep in mind this quote: when times are good, you should advertise. When times are bad, you must advertise. A lot of times when something like this happens or there's a recession, the first thing to go is marketing. Which obviously I strongly disagree with, but I get it. People are trying to save payroll and keep the lights on, so the last thing they want to do is throw a bunch of money at Facebook or something along those lines. But with if you look back at history, the businesses and organizations that have chosen a more progressive strategy of refocusing spending during a recession have outperformed those that made sweeping cuts. So now these examples are going to be a little bit different probably than most of you are dealing with. But be that as it may, it is helpful to understand what they did and how they did it. So one thing to keep in mind with my presentations is you can ask questions at any time. I know most of you are muted, but if you want to turn your cameras on or something along those lines and raise your hand, we can get to you if that works. So just be patient or chime in when you can, but we'll do our best to answer as we go. So with that said, I'll just go into the first one. So here are some key moves during recessions of the past. So this is the most recent one. Technology. Amazon sales grew by 28% in 2009 during the Great Recession. The tech company continued to innovate with new products during the slumping economy, most notably with new Kindle products, which helped to grow market share. So on Christmas Day, 2009, Amazon customers bought more ebooks than printed books. I'm going to go through these four, and then we can discuss. In 1990-91 recession, Pizza Hut and Taco Bell took advantage of McDonald's decision to drop its advertising and promotion budget. As a result, Pizza Hut increased sales by 61%, Taco Bell by 40%, and McDonald's sales declined 28%. 17-month recession, 73 to 75, was triggered by the energy crisis. Toyota was experiencing strong sales when the economic downturn hit. The temptation was to drop their ad budget, which they resisted. By adhering to its long-term strategy, Toyota surpassed Volkswagen as a top imported car maker in the US by 1976. And this goes way back to the Great Depression, and where our friends Snap, Crackle, and Pop came to be. But as you can see, their profits grew by 30%, and the company became the category leader, a position as maintained for decades, all because they kept with their plan and their advertising budget. So these are just a few examples, but these are all four of these situations came in different recessions or different depressions, whatever you want to call it. But the point being, the time-tested strategy is to not take your foot off the gas pedal when things get tough, to continue to innovate, to continue to figure out a way to do business. And again, we'll talk about that. So simply put, it's a great opportunity to stand out during a difficult period. This is the time that we should find ways to tell our story like never before. It shows empathy and keeps you relevant when so much has been impacted. So here's a very interesting statistic. In a recent survey, 76% of the consumers picked up new habits, behaviors, and routines in the wake of COVID-19. And of those 89%, they plan on keeping some of their new habits. Consumers are also trying new products, with 36% planning to continue using new brands they've tried after COVID-19. So here's something to think about. Just think about your own lives. We've been all dealing with this since March. A lot of people have completely transitioned themselves, their businesses, how they do things, their habits, some for the good, some for the bad. I just recently told my wife, it's like, I wonder how this has made people even lazier, because for so long, it has made you just not want to do anything. And it's a comfort factor of just sitting on your butt now, because it's like, well, there's nothing to do and you're totally happy or content with it, so you think. So that's a bad way, but a lot of things, like, for example, again, with my family, I used to hate doing carry out. Now I love it. We tried to get carry out as much as possible during the lockdown, just to support our local small businesses, and do what we can to spend money to keep them afloat. But that became a new habit for us, to be able to just go and get, the food and bring it back. I mean, we've got 4 kids. I'm sure if anybody that has kids knows, not all the time it's a nice relaxing dinner when you go out. So to be able to have them in their own setting while you're still supporting businesses was a benefit that we saw, that we've continued to try to do as much as possible now. So what should you do? So here's some things. And this happened with our clients. So all of these things that I'm going to talk to you about today are actual real life situations and conversations that we had with some of our clients. So I'm not going to go through which ones they were, but I will try to elaborate as much as possible. So the first thing, and this still rings true, how many emails did you guys get March, April, even from a company that you don't even remember doing business with from 20 years ago, their statement from their CEO on how they're reacting to COVID and how they're taking precautions and how they're washing their hands and so on and so forth. I mean, it got over the top and too much, but the reason everyone was doing that is because, 1, they wanted to stay relevant. 2, they wanted to reassure people, hey, it's okay to continue to do business with us. We're all scared. We don't know what's going on, but you know what? You still need food. You still need clothing. You still need medicine. You still need this, that, or the other thing. I always joke about DSW. I don't remember ever buying shoes from DSW, but I got emails from them every single week on what I should be doing to combat COVID-19 in my daily life, which was absurd to me. But it's stuck in my head, and I'm going to need shoes at some point. So I'll probably go to a DSW or wherever they are. I don't even know where they are, but it's one of those things where they maintain their relevance, somewhat in an annoying way, but relevant either way. So the biggest thing, and again, this can still be a part of your marketing, is to make sure people fully understand how you're doing business now. I don't think you need to get into the weeds on washing hands, social distancing, wearing masks, etc. That's a completely different situation. And frankly, it's kind of like talking politics too, you know, that there's strong feelings on both sides of those. So it's best to kind of just, you know, play Switzerland in this case when it comes to your business, but to explain to people, you know, what you are doing. Recognize the situation, recognize that, yes, we do understand. We do know that there's something going on. We do know that there's, you know, fear out there for some people, you know, and especially the elderly and, you know, with people with sicknesses now, there's a legit fear with them. But they all still need things as well. So whether you're a restaurant, whether you're insurance, whether you're, you know, whatever you are, people still need to be able to do business with you, but people do want to be reassured how your company is responding to this pandemic, or whatever you want to call it, and moving forward. Because again, I don't think this is going to be completely over for a while. You know, a lot of people, you know, joke and say it'll be over after the election. Maybe not, you know, but don't think that this probably won't happen again down the road. So if this is a trial run, make sure you're explaining to everybody how you're responding, because just like a negative review that you get on social media, it's the next person that's coming to see how did they react during this. Is it easy to do business with them when we get locked down, or is it convenient when I just have come up with this new way of living my life that I want everything even more convenient? So how are you responding to that? Because that's really what it boils down to. Is it may not be a pandemic, but so many people have changed the way they're doing things to either digital or to getting shipped for their groceries, to, you know, everything online. And if you're not a part of that conversation, you may be missing a lot. So that's number one. Reassure your customers about how your company is responding. Obviously, number two would be, you know, move your brand online and stay connected to your customers. Now, for some of you that have been, you know, on my presentations before, you know, I can talk about this for hours on end. So I'll just be very, very brief and high level. You have to have a fully functional, mobile responsive website. If you don't, you need to get one, because that is the first thing that people are looking at and trying to find information. It helps out with Google search, and it makes you more relevant. You know, especially now, obviously, with everything going on, you know, people will find you either through social media, Google searches, or just, you know, have bookmarked your website to be able to do business with you. So if you don't have that, or you know someone that doesn't have that, either hire us to do it or somebody else. I mean, there's tons of agencies out there that can build you websites. Try to do it yourself. Obviously, we can get it done a lot quicker and more effective, but it is a necessity. Also, having a strong social media presence. For most businesses, I always recommend Facebook and Google Business. That's highly important. Those are the two biggest search engines, or frequently visited platforms out there. Google Business, which a lot of people don't quite understand, it helps you out with your organic SEO on Google. SEO, search engine optimization. So what you can do is basically what you're doing on Facebook, continue to post content, videos, links, pictures, offers, all that stuff that you can do on Facebook, you can do it on Google Business. The only difference is it expires after 30 days. But what you're doing is you're backfilling Google and increasing that SEO for yourself by making all these posts and adding all this content for your business. Facebook, most of you, I would hope, understand exactly what, you know, you can do there. But making sure you have a constant cadence on Facebook, you're posting things, you're offering things, you're updating your hours accordingly. If you do have e-commerce, you're explaining how to do that. You know, whether your doors are open, don't count on everyone rushing to that door, because, you know, again, back to this whole convenience thing that everyone's, you know, somewhat embraced since March. You know, it's a lot easier just to order your pound of coffee online rather than making a trip out there and having to put a mask on and stay 6 feet away and jump through all these hoops just to get things. So that's one thing that you have to be mindful of, is there's a lot of people that, you know, just as many people that are scared, as many people don't want to be inconvenienced with all the hoops you have to jump through to try to do business with you. So it's either you can appeal to both sides of that equation, by, the people that have a legit fear of going out, or the people that are so annoyed with everything that don't want to go out and deal with, all that has to do with that. So again, whatever side you're trying to get to, that's the one, happy medium is making convenient for anybody. So again, back to being online, there's social media, but there's also a couple other things that I highly recommend. Doing email marketing. So whether you have MailChimp or Constant Contact, I prefer Constant Contact. We have a partner account with them. The analytics are fantastic. That will help you understand what your audiences are all about. You can send out emails. I'm sure you all have a collection of emails that you could put together, put into a Constant Contact account. It's relatively inexpensive. I think for if you have over 500 email addresses and you have the best, version of that Constant Contact offers, it's $70 a month. You can send out as many emails as you want. They charge you based on email numbers, like email address numbers, rather than how many emails you send out. So, and then that continues to grow in chunks. I think it's every 500 or so. But 500 emails is a ton for a small business. A lot of people don't have anywhere near that. So you're looking at like 40 or some dollars for the lowest account. So, I mean, think about it in that perspective. You send out an email to, 400 people for $40 a month, maybe 2 or 3 times, and you get, 10, 12 people to engage with you, you've made your money back and then some. But again, it's one more way for you to communicate with them, one more way to get in front of them, to explain what you're doing, to maintain your relevance, to try to sell something, or just to say, hey, come on in, or hey, we've got specials, or so on and so forth. So again, make sure you have those pieces of the pie: social media, a great website, email marketing. And then the last one I would say is, if you have the budget, Google AdWords. That is such an effective tool, but it costs money, obviously, because a lot of people will call it, PPC, which is pay per click, or CPC, which is cost per click. Basically what you're doing is you're buying keywords and phrases, or bidding on them. And then when people search for the ones that you have picked, your ads will be delivered on Google. Now, once they click on it, that's when it's the pay per click. So now every industry is completely different. Depends on what kind of, I see Melissa on here. She's got a very competitive structure, being in insurance. So some of the things that she may be bidding on would be way more than someone else that sells cookies or something like that, just because there's so many, big companies out there bidding on life insurance and car insurance and all that stuff. So people would, that's going to go up. However, you're going to have to do the math on your own. If you get one execution out of it, but it's $5 pay per click, was it worth it? Most likely, yes. So, but you also getting a lot of those eyeballs seeing your ad. Maybe they're not clicking on it. Hopefully your competitors aren't clicking on it to just charge you money, which happens all the time. So be mindful of that. But that's just something to be mindful of. So if you do have the budget, definitely look into it. You don't have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, not even thousands of dollars. It could be a couple $100 a month, something along those lines. So that's one paid component with Google. And then let me just jump back to Facebook real quick. Having a good, vibrant Facebook account is important, but having some type of budget for boosting ads to targeted audiences is just as important. So when I say boosting, basically what you're doing is you're buying audience. You're making sure, if you're trying to target females that live in Oxford that are 45 to 65, you can do that. You can even delve down one more level and say, okay, I want people that like, sports or something along those lines. And that's something that people, don't really realize they can do on Facebook. A lot of times people will just throw $50 at something. They don't realize that it's targeting all of Michigan and their store, in downtown Oxford that people aren't going to drive to Lansing from Lansing to go to. So then they'll say it doesn't work. And then my response will be, well, you don't know what you're doing because you picked the wrong thing. So, or you didn't pick the right thing, I should say, in terms of who you're targeting and how you're targeting. So there's a lot of different ways to do this. Again, nothing I just said is going to cost you a ton of money. Websites, good websites can be made for, especially if someone's doing it. Like, for example, we can build websites for $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. I mean, a lot of times when people think they're going to build a website, it's 15. Or, you go to a big, huge agency and they won't do anything less than 20. So, I mean, yeah, I get it. A couple grand is expensive, but that's something that you're going to have for a really long time. Facebook, it's free to start Facebook. You don't have to pay anything. But like I said, even if you set aside $50 a month to boost things, that goes a long way. I mean, you'll reach thousands of people for $50. Google AdWords, again, yes, that is a paid component. Same thing, $100, $150, $200. That goes a long way, because what's happening on Google is people are typing in, they're looking for you. They want to know. They're saying, I want a marketing agency in Lake Orion, and then my ad will come up, and then they'll click on it, hopefully, and come to me and come to my website and want to, at least reach out. But that's the thing too. So the one goes with the other. You may have great Google AdWords strategy, but your website may be crap. So someone will say, hey, I'm going to click on that. And they go to your website and they're like, what is this dumpster fire here? This is the worst thing I've ever seen. So now only have you lost somebody, you've left a bad taste in their mouth, and you've wasted money on that click. So kind of the first step in my process is make sure you get a really good website established first. Phase 2, social media. Phase 3, email marketing. Phase 4, you're doing those paid components, Google AdWords, and boosting things on Facebook, because it's just like having a party, right? What do you normally do when you have a party? You clean up your house, you buy a bunch of beer, you get your food ready, and you wait for the guests to arrive. You don't ever have a party when you have nothing, no food, no beverages, and your house is a pigsty, right? That's think of it that way. So that's the best way to put it in the real life equation. So anyways, again, I can talk about this for a lot longer. We may do another follow-up seminar after this, but, probably more on social media, advertising, Google AdWords, etc. So we can talk about that more, and I'll open it up for questions too at the end, and we can get more into that if you'd like. So focus on strengthening your relationship with your customers. This is obviously another huge tool. And that could be done any number of ways. Keep people engaged. I mean, maybe you don't have e-commerce or the capabilities to do it. Maybe you're completely shut down and you have no way of really doing traditional business, but you still, you're going to turn the corner. I mean, this isn't going to last forever. Come up with contests, do loyalty things. I mean, it's great to have apps. It's great to have little punch cards. It's great to have all that kind of stuff. But again, if you're a one-man show and you don't have those capabilities, or you just don't want to deal with it, you can still do things that makes that relationship with them a lot stronger. You could post their pictures on Facebook, or you could have photo contests or something, and let someone win something, or they get a month free of cookie batter. I don't know why I keep coming up with cookies. Maybe I want a cookie, but I'm just trying to make it easier for you guys to understand. Like there's little things that can be done that go a long way with strengthening relationships, and the best way to do that, in my opinion, is obviously through digital means, and Facebook in particular, because you can tag those people. You can have a lot of fun with that. A lot of the contests that we do for our clients, have to do with photo contests and like, share, comment contests, because what happens with that is if you can get user generated content, that's more impactful than you just continuing to post it yourself. So if people want to get involved, they want to show off, their new whatever they bought from you, or you encourage them to do something like that, that's fantastic. Have them post it to your page. One of the things we do for Lake Orion's American Summer every year is we'll have a photo contest for the pub crawl, and then we randomly pick, like 4 or 5 winners and give them free swag, or tickets to the next year's pub crawl. People love it. One, because they've, had a few beers in them, but two, because people just like to have fun and get engaged, and that builds that loyalty to that program, and it builds that camaraderie, and that they feel like they're a part of it. And I know that that's such an important thing right now with people, is them feeling that they're a part of something, that they're appreciated, and that their business means something. So anything like that. And on top of that, you could even do a review contest, having people give reviews or repurpose those reviews. I've touched on this in some other of my presentations, that, when someone gives you a review on Facebook, that's public knowledge. So it's not like you're sharing something classified. You can copy and paste that review in one of the posts and say, hey, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. Our customers mean, a lot to us. And, and then give them a link. If you've had a great experience with ABC company, here's a link to give us a good review. Yes, that opens the door for negative reviews, but hopefully if you're running your business accordingly, and you're going to get good ones. And I think a lot of times now people are more likely to pat small businesses on the back than being overly critical. At least I'd like to think so. Well, at least in Oxford and Orion. I can't say for other people, but we seem to be good people in this neck of the woods. So I would encourage you to do that. There's a lot of different ways to do this. I mean, if you do have the digital capabilities to set up loyalty programs, things like that, that's fantastic. But taking an extra second to really appreciate your customers and tell them, more importantly, how much they appreciate you, even if it's a simple email blast, just saying thank you. Don't ask them for a thing, just tell them thank you. Maybe give them something. Hey, use a coupon. Here's a free whatever. I just appreciate the fact that you appreciate us, so here's something back. We're all in this together type thing. It goes a long way, and people will remember that. Whether they redeem the coupon or not, they'll remember it. And the beauty of Constant Contact is you'll be able to see who opened that up, clicked on certain links, and then you can retarget them as maybe your VIPs or something along those lines. So the data is something that everyone tends to overlook because it's one more thing to do, but it's probably the most important thing to do, because now you understand who exactly is doing what they're more interested in, who clicked on, so on and so forth. And then you can almost make a separate database of people that are more engaged, that you can reach out to more. You're going to get some unsubscribes, you're going to get some people emails that bounced, but again, all that data is helpful knowledge. Maybe someone unsubscribes and you're like, why did she unsubscribe? And then you come to find out maybe she had a poor experience with you at some point, and then you can reach out to her personally and say, hey, I see that you unsubscribe and I heard your story, let us win you back, something along those lines. So, but you'll never know until you try to communicate with them. So again, there's a lot of different ways you can do this, but the digital way is probably the most effective, because you get the most bang for your buck in terms of analytics. So with that, I know that was kind of quick and we're already past a half hour. So I wanted to be able to give ample time for questions. If anyone wants to pick my brain as to, what we've done with certain clients, or how we've approached this last however many months of quarantine, COVID era. So I don't know how you want to do that. Open it up to everybody, or what?
Yeah, I think we could open it up. Brian, actually, I had a question for you. I know you were talking about the e-commerce aspect, and with a lot of small businesses, I'm familiar with people using Shopify and Squarespace. Is that something you help people navigate as well, or you have recommendations or pros and cons of using any of those services?
Yeah, we don't have a ton of experience with it. I mean, we have worked with Shopify before, so we can certainly help guide people along that route. I mean, it's not that crazy, but Shopify would be the preferred vendor for us. But to answer your question, yes, we can certainly help people with that.
And I guess from that aspect, can you help explain a little bit more of what they do? Because I know I'm familiar with them, but I don't know if everybody else would be.
Well, sure. Yeah. I mean, there's, so in a nutshell, I mean, all these e-commerce sites are just the availability of you to sell things online. Now, the careful thing you need to do is make sure you're not getting, because they're going to charge you for it. They're going to take some money off the top, but they're going to make it easy for you to load things up, put a price point to it. And have that capabilities of being able to sell things online. So it's just a matter of, what is it that you're trying to sell, and in quantities. Now, if you have a bunch of stuff, I would definitely recommend some e-commerce vendor. If it's a few things, you can set up some other ways like PayPal or something along those lines. Let's say if you're selling tickets, I'm a big fan of Eventbrite. If like you have a show or something along those lines, but again, they'll take some of that off. Now you can bake that into the ticket cost if you'd like, but that just increases the ticket cost. So there's a lot of different things, but for legit e-commerce, hey, I want to sell widgets online or on my website, that a Shopify or something similar, and there's a bunch out there. That's exactly what you'd use. Now, if you want to sell tickets to an event or something, like there's other ways, but I would recommend Eventbrite.
So as far as small business and during like construction and everything, is there one thing that you would recommend for small businesses to really, the main thing for them to focus on? I know you said website, Facebook, but is there one that you would say is the most important for small business?
Well, I get when you say construction, I guess overall anything during this time it's communication.
Right.
And websites are great, for that, but you really need an outreach tool. That's why I really like a constant contact for things like that. Hey, our road got closed and now you have to get to our location by taking this route and that route. Now, someone's not going to know that you just posted that on their website, right? Until you tell them, hey, there's road updates. Or, you make a post on social media saying, hey, we're the road in front of our store is closed for the next 2 weeks. Please visit our website for alternative, whatever. So that's one way to do it. Actually, one of our clients is Jack's Car Wash. There's 9 locations in Metro Detroit and 1 in Florida. And what they do is they have an update page on their website, but it's an actual Twitter feed that they just set up. It's just a widget you can put in there. It's pretty easy. But whatever you actually post on Twitter would show up there. So what they do is obviously if it's pouring down rain, people are going to go get their car washed, or, if there's updates or something. So they'll use that as weather closures. And with 9 locations, they're located, the one in Rochester may be closed, but the one in Royal Oak may be open, so they'll communicate through that. And that's one of the ongoing promotions is saying, hey, check out our Twitter feed or our website, if you ever have a question about weather closures. But again, I found, having a mixture of all those things is the most beneficial because, people get their news and information different ways. So some may really want an email. Some really want, social media. Paint Creek Country Club, they're another client. And we have this fine balance of there's younger members and there's older members. The older members love the email, the younger members would rather have a social media post. So it's just one of those things where we have to do both because it's such a diverse, membership base. So but at the same time we have it so it's set. We say, hey, look, Wednesday and Friday we're doing email blasts so people can come to expect it. Social media is pretty much every day. So if you get in some type of routine as well, especially, I would recommend if you're sending out emails, if it's just a normal business month and there's no road construction or global pandemics or God knows what happens, you could just say, hey, here's our monthly e-blast, we've got coupons, give them something that they're going to look forward to. So I always like to give them like some kind of an offer, a coupon every time we send out an e-blast, because then it's like, well, okay, now I'm going to open it because I want to know. Or, hey, inside this email is this week's food specials or something like that. So people have a reason to open it. But again, back to what I was saying, don't throw a party if your house is trashed. Make sure you have all those things set up first before you start the outreach plan, because what you're going to do is invite people back, and then they're not going to find what they're looking for, and then you're going to potentially lose that customer, because now the frustration level is increased and you've got a lot of competitors out there, and you need to do something differently.
Brian, on that, when you do a social media blast or an email blast, is it recommended to maybe have them land back on your webpage to help the traffic for SEO stuff?
Absolutely.
Or is it good to give them the candy right there in that deliverable?
It depends. I mean, if it's something like immediate, I would just tell them what they need to know. But 9 times out of 10, you want to get them back to your website, because that helps with your organic SEO. So, I always recommend that, even if you're just promoting, maybe it's an off day and there's nothing too crazy, but you're just trying to promote the services that you're doing, have them link back to your services page or products page or offerings page, whatever you call it in your industry, and making sure that they, when they click on that link, because what search engines like to see is inbound and outbound traffic. So if a ton of people are coming in from that post, clicking on it and going there, that's going to start building your SEO. So that's why it's important to have those links and those callbacks on your post to them or to your website.
So we have some new businesses moving into town, and I want to, I start to advertise for them, even like on their build out and things like that, and keep promoting it and building it up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like Facebook and things like that, or in our newsletter. Is there something as they're beginning to open that they should focus on mostly because they're going to be super busy just trying to get their business open?
Yeah. I mean that's a tough question.
I know.
because everyone needs good communication. Everyone needs to, build their
Audience.
Yeah, their audience, but like their I forget the word I was trying to say. I'll think of it in a second. Advocates. That's what I was trying to say.
Okay.
People need to build up their advocates and their supporters, and get them to talk about. Word of mouth is still probably the strongest thing out there. So, if you're building a good audience, but these people are telling your story for you, that's priceless. So. By doing that, though, you gotta get those people. So that's why it's always nice to get family and friends, on the hook right away. And that's why it's important to be in a chamber of commerce, because then you have all that support as well. And then, fellow businesses can share things and make sure that you're well taken care of. That's how this business, my business thrived. In April will be 8 years. And I can tell you right now, if it wasn't for the Oregon Chamber of Commerce, and then eventually Oxford, I don't know what we would have come to, but right away we had a book of business and right in front of us every luncheon we went to, and people would have come up, hey, what do you do again? So then all of a sudden we got a bunch of clients that were fellow chamber members. So, but with that, being a new business, you can't over communicate these things, because people are going to be wondering what the hell you're doing. It's like, what are they, how is the food? What are they selling? What are your hours? I went there and the wait was too long. Why? Because you got those people all the time, and having someone be able to respond to them, hey, look, we're going through some growing pains. We appreciate the feedback. Please come back. Once, we get, and a lot of times people say, hey, that's okay. I understand. I was a waiter in high school or college or whatever, and I totally get it. So that's where that empathy comes in. And, the communication and, trying to win people over and say, look, we may have, missed the mark this time, but, we're new and we're getting better every day. So, please give us another chance, and, or a new free appetizer on me, or, that type of stuff. But, so I know I'm kind of rambling and I'm not really answering your question, but they're all so important, that it's hard to just pick one. I guess if you had to absolutely pick one of the things I said for a new business, I would say social media, just because that's kind of an all-encompassing thing for any type of business. Again, websites, and I know I'm kind of contradicting myself of saying you should have a website first, but man, if you're opening the doors tomorrow and you can only pick one, I would say social media. Now, if you've got some time and you're doing it the right way, start with a website, then go to social media, then move on. But yeah, that would be the route I would take. And then come up with incentive programs to try to build your email database as much as possible. Everyone does that. Hey, put your business card in this fishbowl and and win a free lunch. But there you're getting all these email addresses, or hey, sign up digitally. I mean, Constant Contact has great forms that you can embed into your website or even on Facebook, where people can go and sign up right on that platform and automatically populates your Constant Contact. One of my clients is a plastic surgeon, and there's 3 different spots, or 4, I guess, that people can sign up for email blasts. And the pop-up form that we have on their Contact Us page that we have, and this is all through Constant Contact, you embed it into the Contact Us page, or any page you want for that matter. And we have it set to when people leave the page, this form will pop up and have them fill out their email address and their first name, last name, email address. Very simple, very simplistic. And he's gotten, that's the most people sign up for is that. Why? I can make some conclusions, but because it's an immediate thing, it pops up in their face. It's something that they feel like they need to take action on, right away. But by far more people sign up on that, during that situation than anything else. So, just by doing those types of things, you can build a good email database real quickly. And everyone's got their stack of emails that they could just throw in there right away. I could almost, anyone that's a professional nowadays probably has well over 100 email addresses they could throw in an email database, no problem. And then you just start building from there. So again, they all kind of intertwine and connect. But it's if you had to pick one, I guess it'd be social media for sure, but it's preferred the other way, the 4 phases that I said earlier.
So getting testimonials and getting, as people come in, at least get some contact information and start your database and work from there too is.
Absolutely. Yeah. Testimonials are huge. I mean, you can never get too many of those, especially positive ones, because you're always going to get a negative one. And it's just like a grade point average. You could get straight A's, and then all of a sudden you bomb that one test, and, you're spending a lot of time trying to get back up to that 4 point or 5 stars, in the business world, testimonial wise. So, but so don't take, hey, we got 25 stars. It's like, yeah, but there's gonna, maybe 21's a 1 star, and that's gonna hurt, So it's just a matter of continuously building those types of things, to make sure your business can weather any type of storm.
And Google Map too, so that people can find you.
Yeah. So once you do Google Business, you establish your business profile, you have control over all that stuff. So, a lot of times when someone say, oh, I went on Google and your hours are wrong, or your location is not updated, they may or may not have verified their location or taken control of it. Google's going to give you a location whether you like it or not. When you're identified as a business, they're going to just give you one because they know you're a business.
Right.
So they'll do their best effort to put the correct information on there. More often than not, it's not the correct information. So you need to actually go in there and get your location verified through Google Business, and then you can update the hours whenever you want to. You can, make sure the pins at the correct place on Google Maps, especially for those that are inside other buildings. Maybe they're in a suite, and you want to make sure they know you're in the back. You can move that pin around. Again, you can upload pictures. You can show pictures of your building, because sometimes they'll post things for you on your behalf, and it's like, man, that was from like 10 years ago, or that's our old location, or so it's important for every business to go in there and just literally Google my business, and then start going through that process, because they'll have you write the name of your business, so on and so forth, and then you can tell if someone's verified it. That's a hurdle we always need to jump through, because obviously we're working on behalf of our clients. A lot of times, they maybe had a marketing agency 5 years ago, or their husband or wife did it for them, they had no idea, or an old employee, or so on and so forth, and we'll like, well, someone already verified this, and they have no idea who it is. So there's another set of hoops you got to jump through, but it's not impossible. But for new businesses, it should be a lot easier. They have to verify it. They'll probably either have to call you right away at the business number, or send you a postcard that takes about 10 days to get to. And then it's like a 4 to 6 digit code that you have to enter, just so that you can verify that your actual legit location. But after that, you're good to go, and you can make changes whenever you want. One of the cool things about Google Business with their hours is when there's holidays coming up, they'll prompt you to say, hey, are you open Christmas Day? And if you're not, you can go in and mark closed, and it will reset after Christmas Day and back to your original schedule. Or you can input, maybe you're Jewish, and there's a certain day that you're fasting or something along those lines that you take off, that a lot of people may not understand. You can go in there and identify that day and just say we're closed, or have special hours or something along those lines, and then it will just go from there. So because a lot of people look, if you don't do that the right way, people could Google you and then look, and they'll say closed right now, and they may say, oh, that sucks, I'm not going there, and you may be open,
Right.
or vice versa. You maybe say you're open, but you're really closed, and they go to see you, and then they get frustrated. The world is all about convenience now, and everyone unfortunately believes most of what they see online. And so if they see that you're open, they're more often not going to trust it and say, oh, well, obviously they're open. I mean, who wouldn't, update their hours? Well, a lot of people don't update their hours. I know that for a fact. So you just got to be on top of that type of stuff. But people will look at it and go, hey, this is, they're open, or they're closed, and they'll believe it. Very few people call nowadays. So you just got to make sure you're on top of your game with that stuff.
Hey, Brian, I know there's kind of a push where certain people for privacy aspects, and kind of what Google does. How has that changed anything from a marketing strategy with, like, companies like DuckDuckGo or other search engines starting to try to compete with Google with a little bit more of a privacy aspect? Does that make things more difficult for businesses, or is it they're not really hitting the numbers yet?
Not yet. I mean, I don't see that as any threat to Google anytime soon. I mean, if you have an Alexa or things like that, I mean, everyone knows the weirdness of going on your phone after you've just had a conversation and you're getting delivered an ad that you just talked about. I mean, it's just the way it is. I find it convenient, to be honest with you. I mean, I know it's kind of creepy to some, but it's like, well, I was just talking about it, so obviously I want it, and I'm going to get prompted to buy it. But or you've searched for something. I mean, this is something that we do. You search for something, and then you get retargeted all day, every day, until you buy the damn thing. I mean, well, those are all strategies, and they work. So I get I'm a sucker all the time for that stuff. Maybe because I appreciate it more, just because it's my line of work. But I don't know. I think it's a highly effective tool. But yeah, I mean, you installing pixel. This is kind of another level, but installing pixels on on your website from Facebook. That's where you can do all those capabilities. But that's again another layer of strategy when it comes to effectively using Facebook and Google type things for your marketing. But, you know, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of people with identity theft, and you know, privacy is definitely a hot button topic now, you know, especially with so many people online. But, you know, again, it comes back to personal responsibility, which I know is not one of those things nowadays, but you just got to take care of yourself and make sure you have good passwords and so on. And, you know, hopefully, I mean, everyone's gotten hacked at some point. You know, make sure you got a good bank and you're constantly updating your passwords and they're unique and so on. But, you know, Google and Facebook, I mean, for as intrusive as they are, they're highly effective tools for businesses. And I don't see that changing anytime soon.
All right, anybody else have any questions for Brian? Nothing?
Well, and I can just say, just to close my bit, I mean, we're all over online. I can tell you my cell phone right now. It's 248-953-3236. Again, it's 248-953-3236. You can simply go to our website, any of our social media pages. Our website's thebirneydirective.com. All of our contact information is on there, and again on social media, so it's not hard to find us. So, you know, if you have any other questions or you're looking for quotes or how do I do this, you know, don't hesitate to reach out.
No,
How
you
about a
do
review,
wonderful
Brian?
job.
Somebody's
Go ahead.
got something they've already put together and they maybe haven't been happy. Is it pretty easy for you guys to review everything, somebody's marketing plan? And
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I can tell you, we get most of our business from people that, you know, have some company in New York or California. You know, that's always like, oh, I'm using this company in California. I've never met, have no idea who they are, and you know, that type of thing. So yeah, we'll take over anybody's, you know, stuff. I mean, there is some, you know, gaining access to things is somewhat of a pain at times, but we do it all the time, and we can certainly, you know, take over and improve marketing plans that other places are doing for sure.
All right, well, I definitely appreciate your time today. Very informative. And
Welcome.
as always, you do a wonderful job because I see the companies that you do advertising and everything for. And I mean, it's definitely a very high quality way to
Thank you.
promote your business. So, I mean, I would give you a testimonial anytime. I just want to let everybody know that we have Coffee Connect. It is a new norm outside the village offices with social distancing, 6 feet apart and mask, and that's October 6th from 8 to 9 a.m. And I will supply the coffee, and we would love to have you come out. Only if it's a torrential downpour will it be canceled. But otherwise it's October 6th, 8 to 9 a.m. And if you're looking for Brian's website or anything, that's on our website in our directory. All that information is there. And I appreciate everybody joining us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.